some NRL.
Yep.
So a story came out this week around expansion. Shocked me. It's not a week in the NRL without expansion chat. We have the Redcliffe Dolphins that are confirmed going to be the 17th team next year.
Confirmed Redcliffe team?
No, well, they'll be confirmed the Dolphins. They'll be confirmed under Wayne Bennett.
Dolphins from somewhere in Queensland.
Yeah, that's right. The Northeast Brisbane Dolphins doesn't have a very good ring to it, does it? Now, that begs the question. You got 17, you may as well have 18.
Yeah,
even
that was
numbers,
always the plan was the 18.
What the AFL did.
Yep.
So the PNG government, they announced intention to bid for a licence to join by 2030. I reckon the NRL will want 18 teams in a long time before 2030. And the Cairns mayor, actually, he's been very vocal for quite some time about a joint Cairns PNG team that would play some kind of hybrid St George Illawarra type situation, although would be the first team, obviously, in NRL history to be playing based out of two different countries.
Yeah.
I suppose the Warriors play out of here, but anyways.
They're forced. They still haven't gone home yet. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's right. Now, what do we think about this, boys? Sean, did you read much about this? What was your take?
Yeah, and I think there was some chat as well. They wanted to push a little bit earlier than that. Like they've said by that time we want to be in. 2025, 2026, I think it's seen as
Makes
other
more
days.
sense,
Yeah. I think the push has always been for a second New Zealand team or Perth, I think was probably the other conversations. They've definitely taken origin matches across the Perth to try and gauge that interest over there, and it has been very, very good. So PNG, as everyone's probably quite aware for NRL fans, are absolute mad. They will turn out for an Australian game and sit on the stadium roofs if they have to, just so they catch it. They'll fill every man and his dog into a stadium to watch a rugby league game. They absolutely love it. Big population, big market. So it makes sense economically and accounting-wise, maybe not so much.
Yeah, do they have the cash?
Yeah.
I think that's
do they have a first-class stadium that they could...
and is the NRL willing to pump all this cash into supporting this team? Because that's what they would have to do, essentially. Look, you watch when PNG plays.
Plus, you see all the city teams bitching about having to fly to Papua New Guinea every other week.
You could see him. It makes sense. Like we spoke about that population. You said it's a big population. I didn't realise we were looking beforehand. It's nearly 9 million fucking people. That's more than any state in Australia. Yeah. And they're all rugby league mad.
Yes.
It's like
it's their state sport.
It's like the number one sport.
Sorry.
Exactly. So when you look at it like that, I can see why the NRL might kind of consider it. You hear Matty Johns and his brother always talking about a Pacific Islands team, maybe based out of Fiji or based out of New Zealand, but predominantly Pacific Islander players. We've seen, the meteoric rise of Samoa and Tonga and Fiji, in the last decade. But then you look at it population-wise, and Fiji, Samoa, Tonga combined is less than 1 million people. So if they're trying to think about, eyeballs and I suppose...
membership numbers.
Access to TV might be a bit of a problem up there as well.
Yes.
Obviously not, as financially well off as we are lucky to be down under. But that blew my mind when we looked that up because I thought, maybe it was 6 or 7. It's 9 million people. That's Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah. Well, it's a much bigger supporter base than the Canberra Raiders have. Let's put it that way.
Exactly right. So, I don't know. It when you look at that number, 9 million, you think, geez, that is a lot of people. Obviously, the economics and the financial side of things,
I think
would be difficult.
The quality of play is potentially, essentially initially, because they will have to play a lot of foreigners in the team. As an Australian, are you gonna bait yourself? Say,
are you gonna play out of Port Moresby for an extra 100, 200 grand?
Yeah,
move your family over there.
Can you see Munster moving across to
so there's a challenge. Like they have improved talent wise, but they haven't improved as much as say Samoa and Fiji have at like the international level. And you see that what they're kind of doing with the the Jets there. The Hunters coming across and how they've PG Hunters in the Queensland Cup. Going up against those Jets kind of teams. Yeah, they
stink.
They struggled. Yeah, exactly.
They went. I shouldn't say that. They're not playing well this year. They're 12th. They're 1-5. The Ipswich Jets, who put in that bid to play in the NRL, are 0-6 points difference, minus 148. Yeah, is there the talent base to come out of Papua New Guinea? You'd get some good back if you could get the Papua New Guinea back line at one club, and again, this is highly speculative.
Yeah.
You're looking at Alex Johnson, Justin Olam, Xavier Coates, David Mead, someone else, 1 through 5. You look at the Kummels on paper through the halves and forwards, and it's not NRL caliber.
No. So it's, that's if you can pull that off, like that's the starting point. But you still need, Australian-based players. Maybe he gets, the Raiders got all the English boys, but he may get some English boys. Maybe going to PNG, highly unlikely.
Well, what if they were to get a Cairns PNG based team that just played for 3 games or 4 games a year in Port Moresby, and most of your years based out of Cairns? Could that happen?
To me, that makes more sense. So that's how you get your Queensland guys, because they base themselves out of Cairns, and then you go play home games. It's essentially fly in, fly out work. You fly in to play games and you fly out. So that from a scheduling kind of point, probably works better to get more of those Australian-based players. But it's a tough one, just knowing what they could produce now. But I guess it's, do you care about now, or are you thinking long term? Like, give the Titans example. They've been in the league for 15 years and really haven't delivered on anything major. They've been in a couple finals.
Made a preliminary final in 2010.
And that was 12 years ago. So do you give, you're talking about Papua New Guinea now, you're talking about Papua New Guinea in 15 years' time. You have to start somewhere. Like, if you give them a starting point, it's just like, from there, do you give them the time to develop that talent where they then are less reliable on the Australian-based players? So maybe it's like a 10-year deal with Cairns, and then you have a look at it at that point and go, well, hey, we've now produced, the coaching, the infrastructure, the talent support, the grassroots growth, that they are now self-sustaining in that way, and they can pull in a good 13 players locally, and then they can top themselves up with the 4 Australian-based guys that might want to go over there because it's got good money. So
interesting.
I mean, they are looking at 2030, so that does fit in with your time frame.
Well, I'm saying start earlier so you can then build.
Well, you need to start now.
Right now, there'll be 18 teams in the NRL.
Yes.
Years before
there might be 20 teams by that point.
Yeah. Well, that's a good transition.
The Peter Valanis has his way. There'll be a team in every city. So.
Yeah. So this PNG Cairns thing has sort of been floating around for a few years now. Yeah. So back in 2018, I can see that. I think they saw the Cairns
second Brisbane team was around for 10 years.
Bob Manning.
Yeah.
Mayor of Cairns.
Yeah, so he floated it a few years ago.
In yarns for 4 years.
Expansion teams usually take a decade before anything happens. So like I was mentioned, the second Brisbane team, second New Zealand team, that's all been chat for ages. We finally got one of those. Yeah. So it just takes its time, takes its effort.
Yeah. I think Abdo has come out like this weekend saying that the next team will most likely be in New Zealand.
It makes sense from an infrastructure point of view, from the amount of Kiwi players that already play for NRL-based teams.
Plus, there's
look at the Melbourne Storm. Half their team is Kiwis.
Yeah. And the big difference in New Zealand is you have rugby football player talent galore over there. So you got to they've heavily invested in the rugby system there. Which
chuck that security guard in as a 13 somewhere delivering the boom. Mate, who's a Victor Radley just standing on the sidelines there at Auckland.
So they will be, though they won't have the member base maybe as like a PNG squad team would have, but they've got more potential talent and more clubs, pumping out potential talent that they can then pinch as well over there. So
the other thing as well is we
need one team to be playing in New Zealand first before we add a second one.
Yeah, well, true. In the COVID
there
world,
is that.
Who knows what the world's going to look like in 2030? Just quietly. The other thing we should mention from that nearly 9 million people that live in PNG, there's no, like Port Moresby is only a few 100,000. It's a very rural based
Spread out.
country. Yeah, so I don't know. Again, if that would have an impact, but yeah, like you said, when you see the Kumals play in Papua New Guinea, that stadium it's every man and his dog. So interesting. Is it just a pipe dream? Probably, I think. But it's interesting that it's even a story and that they're looking into it.
It's good.
Yeah, we'll be very old men, I think, before that happens.